sign it.
It wasn't a workable document. If you don't have a workable document, they're useless. And,
I thought it was right there.
thank you. Because I'm a member of IACP, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police, I have access to model policies as we move forward. And so I can go onto a website and I can pull them down and they're copyrighted, but I have permission to use them. So that's what I use primarily as a guide, rather than make it up, because
We have to.
you don't have to reinvent the wheel, so use a good resource.
Yeah.
So,
Alrighty.
There's nothing in the show, of course.
I'm going to sit in Julie 2 seat.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm just kind of laying out there on that side chair. Just like, that means that they have a permit that's going to be.
Okay, I'd like to call our meeting to order. The Selectmen's, excuse me, the Selectmen's meeting for June 12th, 2018. June 12th. Labor Day's coming.
It's time to put up the Christmas decorations.
We're ahead of the curve on that.
Just happened fast. 4th of Labor Day.
What's your Labor Day, right?
Our first item is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
And second it.
I have a correction from the fire. The folks are not National Forest Wardens, but the fire warden and deputy fire warden for the state of New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Division of Forest and Lands, nothing national going on here. Okay. So we'll correct the minutes to say that the wardens are not National Forest Wardens, but they are state of New Hampshire.
Is that correct, Jay? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion.
So I'll make a motion to accept the meetings as corrected. Accept the meeting minutes as corrected.
And I will second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sign away. All right, now we have an update on the action items from our last. And let's see, John, you're all clear. Bob, you are. Excuse me. The update, the agreement on the old library, we had a meeting at 2:30, a very productive meeting. We're going to hammer out the insurance, the wording, and we're going to look at all options for the best use of the building.
Did you guys come up with any kind of a timetable on when you'd like to have a recommendation or not?
Our agreement goes through next August, so that's a year. So we're really trying to get ahead of this, and I believe the Protestant Chapel Association will have a meeting and they'll discuss it. We'll certainly keep discussing it with them. Talk to our insurance underwriter and get the wording so that we're really clear on, I think, maintenance, who's doing what. That's a lot of the insurance liability. So we'll try to hammer that all out. and make it work.
It was a 5-year agreement, was it? 5-year agreement?
Is it
Yes.
Yeah,
both
that's
for
all.
5 years? So we'll be very careful.
Great.
Sounds good.
I had a request for budget information from George Howard. There's been several discussions over the past year regarding the budget and where and how, where it's posted. Every discussion led to something different. So here's what we're going to do. The budget will be posted quarterly at the town office. The selectmen will not be using their meeting time to discuss the budget. And we review the budget every week. We sign off on it. I sit in the office and we look and we find out where we are, whether we're at 30%, if we're at 60%, how we're doing and how the different departments are handling their money. And if anything, if a red flag pops up, we'll deal with it. If anyone has a question about the budget, they're welcome to ask at any time. And as previously mentioned, anyone would like a copy of the budget and where we are at any given time may also request that at the office.
Excellent.
All right, now we have Julie Atwell at a project and the grant information at the transfer station. Okay, the New Hampshire the Beautiful review grants every 3 months. I think the next one is November 1st to October 31st.
That's their year, so every 3 months, starting November 1st is when they review them.
Oh, okay.
But the only catch to that is that you can only submit a grant once per year for equipment.
One grant per year, so you have to pick your
Poison.
So if you want a grant for equipment, 2 pieces, it's going to be over 2 years.
right. If you want scales, you have to put in for scales. If you want storage containers, you have to put in, but you can't go in for both.
Once per
Okay.
year.
And you ended up with some specific information about storage containers.
The storage containers, there are 4 that we are submitting for the grant for
Okay.
storage containers.
Great.
Yeah.
So you
And-
communicated that with Bartlett?
Yeah, so Burr, I'm in the process of completing the application and it will be submitted, I believe both both towns will have to sign off on it before we submit it, but it's in the works.
Great.
Super.
Thank you.
All right, now we will have our fire chief speak to us.
Did you want to say when the next meetings were? The next set of meetings on the action item list?
Yeah, I probably forgot to put that in. Oh, yes, there they are. The next meeting, Tuesday, June 26th, 3:30. The next one is Tuesday, July 10th at 3:30, and the next one is Tuesday, July 24th at 3:30, right here. Thank you.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was the transfer rate comparisons that Julie, did you get a copy of, Julie?
I don't have that copy right
Okay,
now.
she's off, all right, so we'll table that one, I guess. But-
She did do that.
Yeah, I did see it, yeah, they weren't too far off, just a couple items here and there.
On.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just been a while since I've been in, so I figured I'd come in, give an update. It's been kind of business as usual, nothing exciting going on. So there hasn't been a lot to discuss, but I figured I'd come in and just go over a few things. So calls have definitely been down a bunch, which is good, and that seems to be, it's been really quiet, which is good. That seems to be a valley-wide thing. The fire department's calls are down for whatever reason. I don't think there's any specific reason, but
Any calls for Bartlett?
we're down
Mutual.
for mutual aid. We're down. Last year was really, really high. This year has been way lower than last year, but we have gone to a bunch of mutual aid calls. Training, we've really got aggressive training, especially the last few months. So 3 people, including myself being the 4th, went through a swift water operations rescuer type class, which was really good. I mainly sat through it as the command side of things and didn't really actually swim, go in the water, but it was a really aggressive course. 3 people did it from Jackson. They had a lot of fun, did really good at it.
Who did?
Wayne, Peterson, Adam, and Rachel. Oh, I'd have to look on the sheet to remember their last name, their brother and sister. They're really good. You gotta be an aggressive swimmer to be a swift water. And we did it over off Passaconaway Road. It was very high water conditions the weekend that was scheduled too, so it was definitely very aggressive. Really, really good for me just to watch it and see how they set up and do things and kind of stand back and watch the whole thing. That went really well. We've got 3 or 4 signed up for a forestry training for a week, which I'm actually in that at the end of June with the Forest Service. That should be good. Pat and I just finished last week 2 days with the Forest Service for what they call engine boss class, which is specific fire engines they use in the woods. So that was good. We've done extensive in-house ladder training. We went to the academy, Bethlehem Burn Building last week. Was it last Tuesday? Last Tuesday. For a night. Heat-filled, smoke-filled, dark building. We did, 10 of us went from the department. We did 2nd story search and rescue through a window, through a ladder, on a ladder. So that was really good.
That's with air packs.
Yeah, fully dark, smoked up, burning building, with no all access in and out through a ladder. So we don't ever have the ability to like do in-house.
Right.
So that was
Don't start it.
That was a lot of fun. So we've been doing a lot of training, which is really good. It's the only way you kind of keep people's interest too. Keep them doing things that keep into it and keeps people coming. Get 2 trainings scheduled for businesses in town, Christmas Farm Inn and Wentworth, employee trainings where we sit down with them for a couple hours and talk about everything from sometimes Goody comes and does an extensive fire extinguisher class, other times, and then we talk about everything from alarm use to locked and blocked exits to kitchen safety to whatever the particular business needs. We've done it with the Red Fox. We've done it with Eagle Mountain House. We offer it to everybody. We've done it with the school. So that's coming next week, I think.
How many do you do a year, you think?
Of those?
Yeah.
We just started doing them really a couple of years ago when I went full-time.
Right.
So I've only done a few, Red Fox, Eagle Mountain House. We did a fire extinguisher class at the school where they actually light up a fire and let them take a fire extinguisher and go put it out. And they usually like that. But we offer it to any of the businesses. Some take us up on it and some don't. It's timing usually. Building maintenance, we've been working a lot on that. That's been constant. Every time you open your eyes in that building, as Dick knows, it's something else. It's broke, falling apart, rotted. This year, we got a garage door ordered because it basically fell down on us. Thank God nobody got hurt. Old door. We did entry doors, were rotted out. One was completely really bad, the other was so-so. So we got 2 new fiberglass windows.
Bless you.
We added some lockers to store our gear in and a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff. Gary's been doing a lot. Just no matter where you turn your head, there's something. That building's just one of the older buildings we have. Other than the old town hall, that's about the oldest other than that. Or as some people say, it's the town hall.
The town hall.
So that's something I know me and Dick have talked about, but we really, upcoming budget years, we gotta look at increasing the budget number on that, because I spend the line up with that every year for the last 3 years. And we could easily do more.
What is that one item that you get?
$5,000.
5?
Yeah, garage doors costing me $3 this year.
Yeah,
So.
I was just gonna ask you what that
So I mean, that's pretty much, last year we had a furnace break, so it swallowed up most of that $5,000. So many of the other stuff, we've got a bunch of electrical that needs to be done. Painting, anybody knows anybody that likes to paint? Yes. So pass that on.
Painting volunteers.
We'll even pay you, but there's people who like to paint. The building maintenance is $5,000. And like I said, we blow through that like nothing and we go over budget almost every year. So, while we're on that subject, I guess, budget, I grabbed a budget sheet today and just looked at it, because I know some people have been asking questions about budget. So, as Dick said earlier, I'm 31% into my budget. Everything's, I looked line by line, everything's normal. Training is up a little bit because we've been aggressively getting in some training, so some stuff I've had to spend money on if I hire Goody to help us do the training or whatever. But budget-wise, everything I think is normal. Nothing's sticking out at me that's drastically different. Regular inspections are ongoing and normal. I did Whitney's today. I did a place for this permit for the decks at Thompson House for the Liquor Commission. I did Christmas Farm last week. Wildcat Tavern will be complete on Thursday for sprinklers that we started 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's been slow going.
I'll say.
We allowed them to do it kind of yearly, and the last of it's dragged out. So as of right now, I haven't done the acceptance test, which I think is going to happen Thursday. But all the floors are sprinkled now. I think this started out around the time Ed got done as chief. So been slow, but we've been, as long as they're working on it. We gave them a lot of time to get a very expensive item done. So yeah, inspections, normal business as usual, I guess. Dana Place, that's kind of a big project for this year. As you guys know, they're putting apartments up there. So that's been keeping a close eye on the inspection side of that, with Kevin and I. So that's been a big item, will be a big item coming up. Wentworth is almost done their elevator. It's done other than the ventilation and the generator. So they still got to finish the ventilation in the elevator shaft for fire stuff.
Who's the contractor of the damn place?
Rich Levine himself.
He is the,
Yeah, he's got a whole bunch of people hired.
just labor.
Miscellaneous, yes.
Okay, keep an eye on it.
Yep. We've been picking away at all the rooming and lodging establishments that are not places of assembly, that haven't been inspected on a regular basis, that we now have a new ordinance to inspect them on a regular basis. So I got a whole bunch of them done. All the hotels are done that weren't places of assemblies. So the hotels have been done this year, and I got a bunch of rooming and lodging that I did. There's a few bed and breakfasts that we gotta get either this year or next year or whatever. So we're in good shape. We're getting caught up on that we didn't do because we didn't have the ordinance to do. Budget, we talked about that. Getting ready to purchase the gear for the year. Usually try to wait till tax money comes in before I blow a bunch of big money. So getting ready any day now to order 3 sets of gear. We had 1 or 2 people that were going to get new gear get done, so that kind of helped us a little bit as far as purchasing stuff. So we probably won't spend all the money you gave me. The expendable trust fund, I might leave that alone for backup or for next year.
You're not required to spend all of the money.
But yeah, we're not. So there's 3 sets that we're looking at. Peter Benson, Anthony Giovanni, Rachel, I think is getting new gear, so that's $7,000. I spent for unexpected expense, so we shuffled some other stuff that we were gonna buy, like hose, and we bought SCBA bottles because we got the opportunity to update our older Scott air packs to a newer, better, safer. They're older, but they're a lot better than what we had. And the place we buy out most of our stuff gave us the air packs if we just had to buy new bottles and service them and stuff. Kind of traded ours in. So we spent like $4,000 on a whole bunch of fiberglass bottles that are nice and light. The old air packs were really, really heavy. The new ones, even though they're used in late 90s, early 2000 vintage, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with them, are a lot lighter for most of us that are getting older. Weight's an issue.
Does the air go stale in there?
No, the air's good. We might go stale. So that was kind of an expense that we weren't planning on, so we just shuffled some stuff over because it was really a good deal because the new bottles now will work in our new air packs we have. So 1 bottle fits everything we had, whereas before we had multiple packs, multiple bottles. And we haven't had good luck with a grant, an air pack grant. We tried a couple of years in a row. So this was $4,000 for 7 bottles, I think. It was a lot better than $7,000 for 1 pack. And we got like 6 new packs, so we're in good shape. I think that's it. That's all I have, unless you guys have anything. Fireworks are coming in July. Permits assigned for that.
Those are Sunday, July 1st, right?
Yes, Sunday, July 1st. Yep. But we'll be on all that day. Be a bunch of us working that day.
Is there compensation for your time off?
Oh yeah, that's one thing that's never been discussed at budget time, but yeah, we have to have, once the fireworks are in town, we have to be available.
Yeah.
And then once we get close to the fireworks, we've got 3 or 4 trucks positioned with people on it. So yeah, that's $1,000, easy $1,000 in payroll that goes just to the fireworks. So anytime you're discussing how much money the town gives for fireworks, it's not just the fireworks money, it's you guys give in payroll because they have to man all that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So I was just going to say that that maintenance line item that gets eaten up every year, and you're thinking about liking to see that increase. If you had a sense when it came to budget season on what you're looking at down, some things you can't foresee until the garage door falls down, right? But some things you probably know about if you came in here saying,
I mean,
I'd really like about I've got about $8,000 worth, or whatever it would be, the things you can foresee needing to replace next
Yeah.
year. That would help us.
Yeah, we
Because, you know,
put
the
together
challenges.
something. I had something last year that, in me and Dick talking, we kind of chose to just
Yep,
leave it alone for the year.
fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, it comes down to what you put off and what you don't put off.
Right.
I mean, the side and out back is horrendous. There's probably some more windows that could be replaced to make it more energy efficient. You insulate some of the building if you're gonna side it, out back, the old highway garage.
Yep.
We're trying to work a little bit on the building where the generator will sit if we buy a standalone generator. Electrical in the old highway garage is terrible. We've been trying for 3 years to upgrade much of that, which we picked away at some of it, but it gets put off because of other things.
Yeah, just a list of things like that, you know, would be helpful.
Just general cost estimate, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Would help.
Well, we'll sit down with the capital improvement plan and try to pace it out, and then pick our priorities. You can't do it all at once, so we'll just figure out which items are most important,
Yeah.
and try to get funding for them. But I agree, we have to upgrade the funding so we don't get so far behind that we just get hammered.
Or do we, sorry.
Oh.
The other option is to, take 15 or 20 grand and do a lump sum.
Right.
The next fire truck comes along, we're gonna need to extend the back bay a little bit. I don't know yet. Hope not.
It's all right.
The other item, not that I want to discuss it right now, but I'll just so you guys know it's coming for budget time. Training tonight. That's training. It's on the capital replacement plan, or what it is to replace the pickup in 2019. So that's probably coming for discussion at some point, maybe by December, just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
I mean, it's a 2010, 70,000 mile model. That's coming, just so you know.
Yep. Okay. So nice. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Item number 4, the building inspector. Come forward.
How's it going, Kevin? Pretty good.
Pile there.
Looks like a bunch of work to me.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here, all in the last couple of weeks here. Just good, there's 15 items, and I'll just hit the more important ones. Basically, we have 4 new homes going in town here. One's on Sarah Hill Road, it's a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 4.5 bath, I should say.
4-bedroom, yeah.
4-bedroom, yeah. There you go. I wrote down 3, I don't know why. Then there's another new house, and they took this house, they demoed it, and they brought it down to the foundation. This is on 28 Deer Run. And there's a new 3-bedroom, 3-bath home going up. It's actually already framed. And then we have one on Eagle Mountain Road, new single-family home, and I think it's a 3-bedroom. They were still working on the septic plan. I mean, it was approved, but there's something going on there, trying to get either 2 to 3. And and also they have a driveway permit that they got for that. And then there's a 3-bedroom single-family home going on Dundee Road. So that's 4 houses.
Nice.
And then back to, let me see, we got three garages going in town here. One at 84 Tin Line Road, 26 by 32 foot garage, attached garage. then down at Crossroads, we have a two-bay garage coming on. And they're extending the kitchen along with that. And then at 33 Black Mountain Road, one-car garage with an extended breezeway. And let me see what else is here. And then down to smaller items, 753 Carter Notch Road, we have a new bathroom going in. And most of the rest of the work is just small work or renewal of building permits. And there's any questions on any of that stuff. And then Jay mentioned the data place, and that's going slow, real slow. It's easier to demo than to put back together. I actually talked to Rich about it, and then he found out today that the sprinkler company's going to be pushed out all the way to the end of September, just because they're so busy, and I guess they can't find workers. It's a real problem. I keep hearing that all the time. All kinds of different aspects of building. And Jay mentioned the fire department too. And last year, I think we spent $500 on LED lighting, and it had to do something with the co-op, with a rebate on the bulbs or whatever. And, that's something that'd be great to do again, to just start replacing some of the 40-watt bulbs down to, I think they're like 15 or 16 watts. And then just in the last couple of weeks, I think Peter Benson was getting a thing for the solar presentation together, and I found out the energy use of all these buildings in town here. I was shocked at some of the bills per month. And, you know, anything like that would help, because the payback is probably 6 or 7 years on those lights. It would really help. But a lot of these buildings, you know, the bills are $500, $600 a month just on energy use, which is shocking. You know, that's normal. That's a normal thing. But I think a lot of it sometimes is the lighting over there. You know, you turn on in the garage, you turn on one light, and you know, there's probably 25 bulbs that come on, times 40 watts a piece, and before long you're using 2 kilowatts an hour, and it adds up pretty quick. So I think that would be a thing to definitely put on the agenda, put another $500 in the LED lighting.
I think we have to really sit down, three of us, Jay and you and me, and look at the building and see where I think we're going to hold on to the building. We're not going to do a multi-million-dollar fire station. So let's see what it takes to make this one last. I mean, I'd like to see it last for 20 years, but who knows? Maybe more. So, I mean, I think it really is going to take some serious discussion. Just set the priority.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
What's rotting out right now that we have to fix and go from there.
That's about it.
What's the group?
Yeah, that's quite a stack of building permits. I'm glad people are coming in, even for the smaller ones. I think it's important to track it. It helps our assessors get in there and take a look. I mean, as you and I have talked, we don't always know what all gets done. They get a look at it, and it helps our tax base.
Yes, it does.
That's money that we can assess, and it makes it all go round.
Yeah, there's $7 point something million out in permits right now.
How much?
$7 point something million in tax.
There's a lot going on in town.
That is a lot. And I think it took in $38,000 in permit fees.
Great.
That's nice.
Excellent. Great work.
Thanks for
No commission.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much. Wow. $7 million.
Hey, 38K in permits.
Right, but then you figure that's $7 million onto the tax base.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. And a driveway permit.
On top of it all.
On top of it all.
All right, but that's, okay, new business. We've had a request about a soccer camp using the ball field. Has anybody heard about this?
Yeah, that came through an email that I read. It's got something to do with the Horton Center and some other plans to kind of relocate that down here and include, it's more than just the Horton Center that the camp is for. It's an open camp, isn't it?
I think so. And yes, it's from either a church group in Berlin or Borum, I think.
Yeah, Horton Center's a
Okay.
church camp, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it would be for a week in July.
Yeah, it's a
from
day
9
camp.
to noon, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's, my only question was, has the park been reserved for use during that time? And the answer was
It
no.
was open when June
So-
looked.
It seemed like it made sense to me, a youth soccer camp.
Sounds good to me.
I have to have proof of insurance.
Should we leave the porta potty in place that's down there?
Yeah, I think we can also have a conversation at some point about whether that might even be the best location
Okay.
to be around, I don't know, but.
I understand that the dugout is now back in function.
Water line is fixed.
Water line is fixed.
Yep.
We've identified the septic field. I would suggest that we have the tank pumped now as a, get ahead of the game.
Right.
It hasn't been done, we figure whenever the dugout got revamped. I think that's the way. So I don't remember how long ago that was, but it's 8 or 10 years. And, you know, it's summer use. It's not like year round, but still, I think if we get in there, do it now, it'll be a lot safer.
Yep.
Should we get them on porta potties?
Yeah, Pat had asked if we should possibly consider getting a porta potty for the night of the fireworks. He said there's such a big crowd, and to put it over kind of by the ice rink area.
Okay. Whose suggestion was that?
Pat.
Yeah, that's based on where they're shooting it off these days. That's
Yeah.
a pretty heavily used area there.
So we can go ahead and
It's well attended, the fireworks. I mean,
Right.
we get a lot of people in town.
Yeah. Hey, if we're shelling out $1,000 for firefighters to be around, I think a couple more bucks for a porta potty, it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay,
I mean, there's
so
a
we'll set
lot
that.
of people in town. Do you have any estimate, Chief, on how many people flock in for those?
Oh, there was 3,000 plus.
Yeah.
Easy.
should we get more than one?
I think we should get two.
Two.
How is the golf course area now? I didn't go down that way last year. I was up here by the town hall.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
the school.
concentrated up here, village, I'd say Stonebridge, east. So
Okay.
I don't think they go past the Stonebridge because the viewing wouldn't be as
Yeah.
good. So it's
Right.
pretty concentrated. That's a nice grass area by the gazebo. They kind of spill over into the school parking lot, and then the Snowflake's kind enough to let people use their property. So it's very concentrated, and that is a chief request from patrons is where is their bathroom.
And do you have
Especially
a sense of how many and where we should be considering porta potties? Is one in the gazebo area enough, given 3,000 people?
Well,
or what's your sense?
I would put them where people have to go to them rather than where the people are, because I don't think anybody wants to watch the fireworks sitting next to a porta potty in July. And that also helps with congestion, because if you thin the crowd away for people who need that particular service, so I would say that gazebo area is a good idea because there's a concentration of people up there, so they don't have to cross the street. There's an awful lot of little kids. We have one down here by the ball field.
Is that going to be, can people access that with the fireworks, or are they not allowed on that field at all?
Well, that there's a certain break, like line in the sand time where you have to muster people out of the kind of the fallout area. But it'll at least be there. And people in town, we start putting out parking pylons at 3 or 4, and it's a challenge to get them out there before people start filling in. So I would say definitely the gazebo area.
Meaning the ice rink area?
The ice rink area.
Okay.
What about this parking area here? I mean, that's certainly.
Well, we'll have
us
one down
too.
there.
Yeah, we do now? They put it in yet?
Well,
why did
so
they
the
move that
one-
one somewhere else?
The one that used to be in the library parking lot is now at the ball field.
Right.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought that was a supplemental one. I like it by the parking because then you can direct people to the park. It makes it more attractive to get them off site.
Yeah.
The more people with any event like that, and I tell all people, all patrons, the further you walk to get to the event, the better off you be when you leave. Because if you try to park at drop zero, you're not moving.
Out of there anytime.
So I love to recommend off-site parking, so anything we can do to accommodate that and make it more attractive, like a bathroom facility, I'm all for.
Yeah. Well, I think that even when the time comes, we have a bathroom that's equipped down there to handle events. It's not something that's we'll feel good about keeping open 24/7, and we haven't had the conversation yet, but
I think
that's a nice spot for what's heavily used, whether it's ultimate frisbees around or whatever. And, but
because they'll find an alternative, and it's not a very attractive alternative.
For Sunday the 1st, it would be nice to get a recommendation from you guys, because I come in and I watch the fireworks, so
I would say one at the public parking by the library down here. I would say we have the one in the park, and I would put at least one by the rink. And if you were going to do a second one, I would make it handicapped accessible.
We don't always have that option because you have to reserve those ahead of time. I think the one down here is handicapped.
So if you were talking about 2 by the ice rink, I'd make one of them handicapped accessible. Because I don't really, to get down to that field, well, I guess you could go down the access road, but there is a flight of stairs, so predominantly handicap access would not be down there, it would be up more on level ground.
So are you suggesting 2 then?
I would say 2 because,
what about the snowflake field where people flock?
Well, that'll be up to them. It's their personal property.
Yeah, that's a personal property.
Right, but I mean, if
they're agreeable,
judicious,
if they're agreeable,
users,
if you're not going to put 2 by the ice rink, and I put them at the far margin so that so it's not visually impactful and also is discreet. If you're not going to put 2 there, then I would say 1 there and 1 at the snowflake field if they want it. It's their personal property, but they might because they might be like, well, this is great because we don't want them going in the bushes or something.
Right, they're not knocking on the door saying, Johnny's gotta go.
And Johnny's gonna go.
Oh, yeah.
especially because it's a family event. So if we have one at the parking, one with the one in the park, and it would be nice to confirm, because that was my question too, is that area roped off and not accessible when they shoot the fireworks off?
Do you know that answer? No.
I don't. I'm always below the fire engines far away, so.
Because we don't want to count on it if people can't access it, and if people see it, and
I can't remember from memory
it would be worth moving.
where they put that demarcation line.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
And then
But
if we
it's probably danger close to that line.
And then if we, and maybe just because it's so close, we don't want people wandering down that close. I don't know. But maybe it is well positioned if that does have people walking. It'd be nice to have your guys' recommendation. How many and exactly where you would recommend them being
I'll find out from
placed.
I'll find out from Jay where that the no-go zone is,
Yeah.
and that'll help clarify that question.
Well, you're talking about 3. Maybe it needs to be 4. Maybe it,
Well, I think
if we're
we have
having 3,000
1,
people.
2, 3, 4.
Right,
there's
we're not going to keep them, we're going to use them for that.
They're just a
event.
one night,
Yeah.
the one night
Yeah.
Affair.
thing. So yeah, it'd be nice
So we're
to.
not. So we're doing.
give
we
you
don't have plans
thoughts.
to put another one back down there. We just decided to put it at the ball field.
That's what's happening so far.
Yeah.
There was talk about getting an additional one, but we haven't, at this point, there's no structure built to,
Because we.
so that would be a future
There is
plan.
some
It's down there, it's
Oh.
down at the field, so
Yeah.
there are 2
See that nice one at
structures
the
to.
falls too.
Yeah, so 2
right.
structures
Really
to.
cool,
Right.
professional looking.
I think the conversation is that better positioned
Sure.
in the summer at the park and easier for more people to access. But again, for me, I would love to have your thoughts on it as well. Should we have one at the parking lot and the park and the falls? Are they so close we just need one or the other? What's your sense on that? For sure.
Yeah, well, I like having one at the parking lot.
Okay.
Because,
I think a lot of people used it last year,
Yeah.
from what I
It
was
did
told.
get used.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, you get out of the car and you tell the kids use the facilities,
Yeah.
and then we're going to go up to the park. That's super handy.
Yeah.
And it's not intrusive because all it is parking down there. It's not, particularly scenic. So I would say definitely one down there, and then the ice rink area, and then if the snowflake allows in that kind of back corner,
Yeah.
if they can get at it, I don't know what they have to use to get them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we really should we'll make a decision on
park.
is that what we're going to stay there all summer?
Well, so the soccer camp is going through
And you think it should,
July.
right?
and
That's
so-
what we're weighing out, we're going to get back to soccer.
But the critical question will be, will it be accessible during the 4th of July? And that'll help us determine whether we
Right.
really have to push for
Yeah.
2 up there and 1 down there. But I think that one's good to have all summer, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
So then
If you feel
the
that way.
question is, next summer, do we want a 3rd structure built?
Yeah.
If you guys decide.
Well, we're having a couple different conversations. Yeah, July 1st as well as year-round facility needs. So,
It wouldn't be year-round, it would only be,
well, right, seasonal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Full season. Okay, what do we think about the soccer camp? That's where it all started.
Right.
We're going to leave a porta potty by the backstop for now. We'll find out more, but the soccer camp is July 23rd through the 27th. They're coming down, at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, they'll probably go to 4 in the afternoon?
No, it's only till
12.
noon, yeah.
Oh, till noon.
9 to noon.
Okay, so I'm amenable to, the soccer camp.
Have they filled out an application? I mean, we normally don't get those here asking for use. I understand why this one
Yeah,
came.
I do not believe Julie has received one, but I'll have them fill that out and get,
Yeah,
Okay. First
But
come,
we're-
first served. We see no.
agreed that,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
okay.
Do you want a motion?
I don't think
We haven't been doing that in the
I don't
past.
think we need
Yeah.
a motion, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we're all agreed.
Yep.
Seems like a great use of the park.
Okay, we have a cemetery lot agreement. See no reason not to allow people to use the cemetery
No.
when they need it. Do we have to sign this, or is this?
Yep.
do,
Okay. Well, here, I'm going to pass it along.
Pass it along.
Is it for town or Dundee?
I thought it was the town,
The
but
town?
This one's for the village. Yeah.
okay, we have a cutting permit.
Oh,
Oh, we've got the.
C.
C.
C, B, C.
Oh, my mistake. I'm in trouble. I probably have a parking ticket right now.
I think that was intentional.
Right. We have to approve and adopt of the police rules and regulations. Copy of it's right here. Have you had a chance to peruse that document?
I have. In fact, this is the copy I just returned, and I think it's a real professional document, and I think it's probably long overdue. And it seemed really clear and understandable to me, and I like the job that you did for sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I had a couple of questions. I talked to the chief about them. He straightened me out. And the document for me stands as written.
No, I agree. It's very thorough and very easy to read, which is unusual for me.
So I take it the process would be to approve the document and then adopt it for the police department.
Yes, the Board of Selectmen, as the overseers of all departments, including the police, you establish policy, so that was never done in a formal fashion that I could find historically.
No.
And if you could move to accept them and then adopt them as written, and if you could probably initial and date that just the front page, and that'll be my master copy, and then I will distribute the copies to the officers, and then they will sign and acknowledge that they've reviewed and understood them, and then we'll have a great foundation moving forward. And I would point out that, the rules and regulations, as in any progressive agency, are a living document. It's not like we established them and it's like the Constitution. It's never changed for time immemorial. It's a living document. As different technologies come out, as different procedures come out, as we find some things may be unworkable or change over time, I will come back to the board and ask you to approve, either substantive changes in policies or new policies that apply to new procedures or applications. So as an ongoing process, I'd like to see that document continues to live up to the standards that we hold ourselves to and that we have set for the community.
So I would accept a motion to approve this document.
So I'll make a motion to approve for adoption the Jackson Police Department rules, regulations, policies, and procedures manual that was distributed to us this spring and that we've all had a chance to review.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we can sign and date this
I
whenever
would
it works.
I would initial that.
Yeah.
And sign it. And actually, we'll make that the master copy, and you can retain that at the selectmen's level.
Sure.
And then I'll get other copies. Instead of me keeping the master copy, you keep the master copy. And then I'll distribute the officers and then.
And then what I've seen with a lot of policy manuals like this would be just a running list of when they were amended. So the next time we amend it, there would be a date on there.
Yeah, if what I would do is if I had to amend a standing policy, I would identify the date of amendment on the new form, and then we would remove out the old. And if it's a new policy, then we would indicate the date that the entire policy was established.
And whether it's new or an
amended
document, it will always come before the board.
Always, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, my responsibility is to administer the rules and regulations in a professional and appropriate and lawful manner.
Yep.
and your job is to establish the rules and regulations.
Great.
I
Clear.
would now like a motion to adopt this document for the police department.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Any opposed? There it is.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
No,
So that'll
thank
be
you.
your
That's
master copy.
Thank
a
you.
lot of work. in
Yeah.
that.
What's that? I don't know if they are.
Did you
but I
guys
think
initial
they're
that?
going to.
No.
Initial and dated.
You gotta watch that.
That's in the policy. Yeah, well, it's my pleasure, and like I said, it really needs to be done because the officers need to know what their rule and guide is.
Sure.
So they can know what the expectations are, and the public as well. Not all of the manual is public matter because of the sensitive nature of it, but some of it is, and available for review.
Under lock and key in our office.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you. Now we can do the intent to cut. Davis, let's see, we were not to date it until now, and it was all signed, so I will.
Oh, the boxes up there are not for the date, it's for my numbers that they said don't fill in until signed, but it's
I am going to sign this now. Can I do that? I'm going to sign it here. Okay, this is a real tricky one. It's a request from the trustees of the trust funds, withdrawal from the trust funds. The Board of Selectmen are requesting the following withdrawals from the trust funds as indicated below. $1,583.50 from the Bartlett Jackson Ambulance Capital Reserve Fund, 0070. See attached. Bartlett Jackson Ambulance paid the invoice from Smart Equipment Innovator LLC dated 5/14/2018. Invoice number 15,743, and will be reimbursed for these funds. Make the checks out to the town of Jackson for the withdrawal amounts requested. Okay?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That one's done.
Okay.
No, sometimes I'm second, sometimes I'm third. You notice that? What the heck is going on
You're
there?
number one. You should be signing it as well, John.
Okay, the Board of Selectmen would like to extend our sincere gratitude for your donations to Bill, I'm sorry, Bill Goldfish. The Board of Selectmen would like to extend our sincere gratitude for your donation of $75 to the Bartlett Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 5386. Your donation will provide 60 grave marker flags to be placed on the Jackson and Dundee cemeteries this spring. Your thoughtfulness is appreciated by the families of the servicemen and women whose graves these flags will be placed on. The town greatly appreciates your continued donation to cover the cost of this important recognition of our war veterans.
At least we can do for those guys.
And I am going to sign that.
Don't have to take a vote?
And you guys better. No, I'm not gonna vote on that one.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
Can we talk more about the outhouses?
Okay, then we have, I think our last,
Yeah, we had one additional item stuck in there.
yeah. We've been contacted by Dr. Marianne Jackson. Would like to get support for an initiative that I think she's already gotten letters from Eaton, Conway, Bartlett, and Albany, and would like all 10 towns to participate in a network of age-friendly communities in affiliation with the World Health Organization. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
And she's from the Gibson Center, right?
It's,
She's from the Gibson Center, right?
yeah. But I would propose that we sign a letter of support for this initiative, and I would take a motion on that.
That came around in an email
Yes.
from Julie Hoyt, or you, Julie, one of the two, recently. So I did read through that, and it seems like a real positive thing to support. So
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we put together a letter of support.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Frank, you all right with that? Okay, yeah, I think it is, I talked to her at some length, and I think it is a good initiative. Okay, old business, transfer station. Anything new?
The building is done. I know they were talked with, Burr had talked with the Don and the crew about relocating some of the major equipment up there and trying to make it a little more efficient for the guys who actually work it. And apparently there's going to be some changes in terms of location of some of the compactors. Not a huge deal. They are going to take down the door and start to move things in there tomorrow, I guess. Let's see, I didn't find any information about the quantity of how much material can be brought to the burn pit at any one time, which is something that probably we'll have to bring up when we meet with the Bartlett group. Obviously it can't be unlimited, and with the dry weather and, controlling the burns and when they can have the burns and permits that are required, it is kind of, has to be a flexible thing in terms of when you can drop off stuff, and maybe a phone call to the ahead of time might help preempt any possible person who might get turned away because of a lack of a spot for their debris. Maybe drop a dime on them, especially when the times get dry like this. They probably won't be making too many burns, thus the pit won't be open, thus they can't drop anything off. But I didn't find any information about any particular size, so that was something we'll have to address at some point. But other than that, nothing really outstanding up there, and the place still looks pretty good.
I think in the burn permit application, just across the board, it's 4 inches.
It's 5 in the sign. It
Yeah.
says 5 in the sign.
Okay.
And on the
Well, I'm
website,
fine with
yeah.
that, but there is a limit.
Right, but it doesn't say how much in terms of quantity you can bring at one time. I mean, obviously you can't bring dump trucks full of brush to drop off, it's certainly personal brush.
Right.
How much, I don't know. And of course, you can always burn it at home too if you get a permit.
Right.
Was that the deal, that he was bringing a truckload that they didn't have
It was-
room to accommodate? Or did you get to the bottom of that?
It was a combination of factors, and some are, probably shouldn't be discussed here, but, when you bring a large amount, it was a trailer size thing, a drag, U-Haul, not a open trailer type thing.
Yeah.
And it had a weight limit of 1 ton, but it was much bigger than a 1-ton truck in dimensions. So the weight was right, quote unquote, but the size was far different in terms of volume. And I think there was an issue whether Don or whoever was attending that day could actually see all the brush that was going in there to see if it was less than 5 inches, because there was so much going in at one time. You know, you can't pick through it. Oh, is that a 5-incher? That's a 4-incher. You know? So it made for an uncomfortable situation all the way around. And you know, again, it's something I think can be worked out.
Okay,
you know,
great.
It's not a huge problem, but.
And I've emailed Bartlett, but I haven't heard back on suggested dates for the next meeting, but I'll follow up with her.
Okay.
And we did get the spreadsheet on comparison prices at other stations. And they were, you know, somewhere we're above and below, and almost every category, somewhere in between. You know, so just have to kind of narrow down what we want to charge.
I think the tires we were pretty far off.
Yeah, there was one that was.
But there was the rest of them seemed to be pretty close. Thanks for coming up with that.
Yeah, that was.
Was that Julie?
That was Julie, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was real helpful.
And that is all I had.
Okay. Then we're on to, that was our business, so we're on to public comment. And I'm going to make a statement on public comments, the new public comment guidelines. When it's included in a meeting by the chair, and a public comment portion is not a right, it's certainly applicable for us because that's where the information from the public comes from that we should be dealing with. But you can bring any matter before the board. There are no official, if it's not on the agenda, comments should be short and to the point, with the chair ultimately responsible to control the time available to individual speakers. Except in unusual circumstances, any matter presented under public comment will not be debated or acted upon by the board at the time it is presented. All remarks and dialogues in public meetings must be respectful and courteous, free of rude, personal, or slanderous remarks. Inappropriate language and or shouting will not be tolerated. Furthermore, no person may offer comment without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of the meeting. And again, I'm going to try to limit public comments to a minute, but I'm not trying to stifle public comment. It's just, I think people need to understand that the select meeting is for us to talk to each other. We don't talk to each other in private. We have to make these decisions in front of the public. So we have the video that is, if there's nobody here, we're still on video for it. But this is our meeting for us to talk and make decisions and do it right out front. So hopefully that format will be acceptable and we will go forward in a proper manner. Gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great format. I'd almost like to see it on the backside of every meeting agenda. I think it's, you know, people come in from time to time, and I think it's a great way to increase. Well, obviously there was plenty of research done to come up with that format, plenty of work. I have no problem at all with it being recognized formally and on the back side or the bottom of every agenda, so that it's clear whoever comes in and wants to participate.
I think that's an excellent suggestion that we just included as part of the agenda items. that we may pass out to the public?
You're here.
There we are. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our meeting.
Do we have to leave?
Choice.
The comment I have is, I really enjoyed, I thought it was informative for Jay to be here today and give a report of what the fire department's been doing. I really like that included in the format. I wish it would have done more by more departments. So a thank you to Jay for taking the initiative to do that.
And it was his initiative. He wanted to come in. This is what's been going on. And
Yeah, well, it's great to know. Otherwise, we don't.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Before I ask somebody to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Here we go. Thank you very much.